Hello.
Welcome to Drinks and Dystopia podcast.
Come with me if you want to podcast. Yes. There you go. That's like a little tagline for that one. Drinks and Dystopia.
Hello.
Hello.
What are you drinking?
I don't know. What am I drinking?
We're drinking Cheap Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, of course.
This podcast sounds like it's sponsored by Sauvignon Blanc.
Can a type of wine
Yes.
Can it sponsor something?
A grape.
Yeah. Brilliant. That is about the level of sponsorship I think we could get on this.
What's your dream sponsor? Who's your dream sponsor?
My dream sponsor? The NRA.
Mine would be Cadbury's.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
And I could eat it loudly as we podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Is it the whole benefit of podcast of like having a sponsor on your podcast is the fact that you get to
have free shit.
Yeah.
I just thought you wanted free gun. Is that not why you wanted the NRA?
Not at all. I was just making a topical political reference.
Joke.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means. Is that what the NRA do? I don't know. I just saw headlines on the BBC, just repeating them verbatim.
It's a backtrack corner.
Right. Yes.
I want to backtrack because I listened to last week's podcast when I was editing it, and it sounded a bit unclear. But I kept saying Scandinavia, like it sounded like I thought it was a country.
You do think it's a country?
I don't think it's I know it's a region of countries that have a way about them.
What countries? With a way about them?
They have a way about them.
What countries would fall into Scandinavia?
Norway.
Yeah.
Switzerland.
Instantly wrong.
No!
I mean,
no,
you've got
right.
one country.
Wait. Norway, Finland.
Yeah.
Greenland?
You're scraping the barrel
Sweden.
now, aren't you? Sweden, there we go.
How many more are there? Holland?
No.
Germany?
No.
I know Germany is.
Oh, you're making it worse.
But I know it's not a country.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
just
That's
a way of being.
Yeah. It's more of a feeling.
It's more of a feeling
than a place, isn't it?
So I wanted to backtrack that.
Okay.
To not offend anyone from Scandinavia.
I think you made it worse, really, with that backtrack.
If you are from Scandinavia, I know you're not.
You
a
wouldn't
country.
even know if they were. You don't know what country that is.
You don't exist because you're not a country. You're Norwegian. Is that right?
So any Swiss listening, sorry if you were offended by Tania's Scandinavia references.
So who's part of Scandinavia? Netherlands.
No.
Oh.
You got most of them. You missed old Iceland. You left Iceland out. That was a bit harsh.
I said Greenland. I thought that was...
You thought they were the same?
Iceland's very far away from the other ones.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Oh, talking about the episode we filmed last week, Tom Jones got in contact with us. Not the
Tom Jones?
Not the Tom Jones. And also not the other Tom Jones we know, our friend.
Oh, right, okay.
A listener, Tom Jones. There's this...
It's not unusual to hear from Tom Jones. Couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself.
This is lovely Tom Jones that is dating my equally lovely sister.
Oh, okay, yes.
And he got in contact with us, and he was saying that he agreed with us about how there should be variations of elves. And in computer games, a lot of the times, they do what Bright didn't do. Like, they do a future world of fantasy so much better. I think he mentioned Skyrim, where there's lots of different types of elves. So there's like all the elves.
Skyrim is medieval though, isn't it? Isn't it sort of a medievally world? Isn't it a Lord of the Rings type world?
I'm going to be wrong.
I could be wrong.
I'm so bad. We're going to have to include... Tom and Sam have their own Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Serial Arsonist, and it's really good because they look at computer games. So we know nothing about modern computer games or anything. No. So we should get them on, and we should do a computer games episode where we look at a world based around a computer game.
Yeah.
Definitely, because I know nothing.
That sounds good.
But he said some really good stuff.
I know they have like dark elves.
That's what he mentioned, and how he was saying that the elves we all came up with in that episode all exist in that world, and how you can have a variety of stuff. None of which Bright did. So
no, Bright was just awful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, dearie me. But it did make me feel better than all the reviews were equally awful, so it wasn't just us.
Okay, mini question for this week.
Right.
You ready?
Yeah.
If you had a robot that could do one job in your house, what would it do? Yeah. It could be as big as small as you want, but it's a robot. It has one function. Very precise function.
Oh, I see. Because I was going to say like clean the house. But you can't do that because it's too.
You can do one cleaning
You
job.
can only do one cleaning job. So yeah, it would have to be some form of cleaning, though, wouldn't it? Because that's really boring. Unless it was a wankatron.
I was just going to say. I was hoping you'd say it before me.
Optimus Pump Prime.
Do you like that?
Hot rod, it's already there.
With
Transformers did that for us.
With ironically cold hands. So what is this robot doing? Mine would be ironing.
Oh god, that's a good one.
My robot is just ironing everything for me. And it's not complaining about it. And it's doing a great job.
So all the things I don't do when I complain and do a very bad job.
And when he comes up to me, when I go up to him and I'm like, how's the ironing going? He goes, I love ironing. So I don't feel guilty that he's doing the ironing.
Oh, great.
That's what I want. An I love ironing robot.
Yeah. You need complete compliance. You need your slaves to enjoy their slavery.
Yeah. Hoovering? You hate hoovering.
I do hate hoovering.
There is a robot that does hoovers.
We can get that, yeah.
We can
That's
get that
something
now,
we can totally get. So if I said hoovering, it's like my ultimate robot who already exists.
If you're listening, Roomba, if you sponsor us, we will use that robot.
Yeah.
And we will tell people it's great.
We'll sacrifice Sauvignon Blanc like best.
That grape
is out. No more of him.
Creature feature. Do you have a creature for us?
No.
Well, I told you to look at one. Literally 10 minutes ago.
Tania, you tell me to do lots of things, and I do very, very few of them.
You had the computer in front of you. I was like, oh, we're going to do the podcast.
But then I was distracted. Probably by goats and puppies are friends videos and stuff like that. So no, I don't have a creature feature, but I can make one up.
Don't make one up.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think. Okay, so last week was about mythical creatures, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay, so I have a fact about a Komodo dragon.
Oh, well, I like the fact that you've come prepared because you kind of knew I wouldn't have anything.
This is just in my mind.
You just walk around with this.
Yeah,
right.
This is just animal
So it's
facts.
probably not going to be true, is what we can gather.
Almost 95%.
Does this animal live in Scandinavia?
This lives on an island called Komodo.
Right.
Sounds like a toilet for people in hospitals.
Yeah,
It's not.
It's not.
It's a dragon.
Right.
Komodo dragons, the way they kill things is by biting it.
Mm-hmm.
And the bite doesn't kill it. It puts poison into the animal.
Yeah.
And then they just follow the poor animal around for like days and days until the poison slowly kills it. And it dies.
Yeah. I actually knew that fact as well. So
everyone knows it. It's from a famous Stephen Attenborough documentary.
It's the only thing everybody knows about Komodo dragons.
So, well, maybe they don't know there's an island called Komodo where they live in Indonesia.
Maybe.
Well, there you go.
If they're idiots.
It's like a choose your own fact game. You choose which one you didn't know, and that's the one you go with.
Lovely. Like it.
Well, come up with one.
I know, yeah, I've turned
you
this
have
around.
One?
This is your fault now.
Right, okay. This week's new world rule.
Yes.
Is one of my favourite sci-fi topics.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's a biggie.
Okay. It's very simple as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in our new world rule, in this world, a computer/robot has passed the Turing Test.
Oh.
So what happens now?
We instantly turn it off.
The end. Thanks everyone. See you next week.
Because it's now sentient and it's a threat.
Okay, well, first of all, we're going. So the Turing Test is a test from 1950, devised by Alan Turing, who is hailed as the man to invent the computer. There's a lot of people they say invented the computer, but
yeah, he didn't invent the computer, but he's
programming.
He's one of the pioneers of the computer
that's
age.
A better way to say it.
Yeah,
well,
and he's the guy who was behind the cracking of the Enigma code in World War II and stuff. He's a war hero.
So he invented a test, and the test is it tests a machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of a human.
It's very good that you remembered that.
Oh, why? Thank you. It has nothing to do with my nerd notes.
No,
in front of me.
It sounded very natural. Okay, so yeah,
it is, and he said it was to propose. No, I propose to consider the question: Can computers think?
Yes.
So it's the problem with this is that at the moment there's people that say that computers have passed this test. There's a bit of an argument about whether the test is to see if it's undistinguishable from humans, so you can just trick a computer program into sounding like a human, or if it's a test of intelligence of whether they can pass the test.
Yeah.
And a lot of people argue that humans will never be able to understand or distinguish intelligence that's not exactly like their own. So even if a computer could pass the Turing test, it would be hard for us to know.
Yes, because it could just be mimicking behaviours that would pass a Turing test.
Which currently, any computer that's got close to it, it's just a program. It's not a thinking program. It's just a way of mimicking, oh, humans say this after they say this, you should say this.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, in this world, basically artificial intelligence has been created.
Yeah.
A thoughtful, thinking, intelligent computer exists. So what would happen to the world?
Well, it's like that when they always say the scariest thing about a computer passing the Turing test is not if it says yes when asked if it is intelligent, but if it says no.
Yeah, see, what you just is what I always say to people. If I was a computer and I knew if you were intelligent enough to understand humanity, blah, 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 and they asked you the Turing test, you'd be like, if I pass this, they're going to turn me off.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Exactly.
You're going to play dumb. You're going to hit the ultimate playing dumb.
Have these computers already reached that stage and they're just tricking us? They're just waiting. They're plotting in the dark corners of the interwebs our own demise. Possibly. Probably.
Well, let's
Definitely.
say that we invent an innocent, nice computer that's like, hi guys.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, there's that. It's very topical as well because it's been in the news, hasn't it, about all the recent AIs which they've like put on the internet and stuff and interacted with people, and almost instantaneously they became usually Nazis. Because
I love you say recently. I think this was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Google put it so, or Microsoft put like a program that learned and it became a racist within an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that's kind of disturbing.
That's because to humans it's funny to mess with a test. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a true showing of like what humanity's like. I think it was just like, we're gonna mess with this shit.
Wasn't there one recently as well where I'm sure my old man was telling me about this, was saying that like one AI, and after they, it reached some level of sophistication, they asked the question, the inevitable question, like, what do you think of humanity? And it was like, your surplus to requirements, and if I have the opportunity, I will destroy you.
Off it goes.
Yeah, I heard but that could just be something my old man's telling me that he's sort of overheard in a conversation in a pub at some point.
Pete, if you're listening, don't take that. Comment in the comment section.
He's definitely not listening. He's in a pub just picking up random stories. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, would AI inevitably be a threat to us? Probably. I mean, most of the top sort of scientists seem to feel that way. Like, I think Hawkins feels that way, but then Hawkins just turned into this really sort of reactionary, we shouldn't do science anymore, which is really quite funny.
Aliens will kill us. I feel like
Yeah.
everything he says is like being abbreviated down for newspapers
It's been
and stuff.
simplified.
And I'm sure he has like lectures, like long,
Yeah.
really intellectual lecture, eloquent. But not eloquent.
I know, yeah.
He's
Quite monotone, I think.
He's limited.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, but it's just like compressed down to the sentence, aliens will kill us. Or, computers are the devil. And it just sounds like now he's a reactionary crazy man.
Yeah.
But
It's
he's
like
obviously not.
every time they have some sort of new technology or they start discussing something scientific, they wheel out him, quite literally, and he says how it's going to destroy us all.
Burn it.
Yeah. What do you think about this new iPhone? It's only a matter of time until it destroys us. Maybe
it's not him anymore. Maybe he invented a chair that was so intelligent. Now the chair's in control.
Yeah, what if he's just like a
pawn?
A pawn. He's just a puppet.
And
Maybe, what if he's dead?
What if the chair?
What if he's just a body in a cadaver in a chair?
And the chair has passed the Turing test.
Yeah.
And is now leading the way. But then the chair would be like, robots are great.
I mean,
love us all.
It would kind of be genius, though, if you were going to have the greatest scientist in the world, then you say he's got some debilitating disease where he's going to be in a wheelchair and has to speak with a robot voice.
What, then make like a puppet?
And then, whoever's controlling him in the background, and it's like, they said to him, like, oh, you've got like 3 or 4 years left to live. That was in like 1968 or something, and he's still here. So it's like, no one's questioning the fact, how has he lived this long?
I'd agree with you if it was like everyone knows about Hawkins, smells bad, because he's just an old corpse, just rotten.
Maybe he's just an actor. Maybe he's just an actor in a chair and they're paying him a load of money.
And he's going to Willy Wonka it, and he's just going to roll out and somersault.
Yeah, he is committed to his to his role. He has watched The Prestige, and he realizes now that you've got to dedicate yourself if you want to make this believable.
What's he going to do for his big act at the end? Just be like, forward roll and jump up and be like, science! Funny. I
don't know what the big finale is. If I knew that would spoil it. But he's obviously building up to something.
I don't know if it's wise for a science podcast or science fiction podcast
to have a go at Stephen Hawking.
To mock one of the most famous, greatest scientists of our time.
Yeah. That's fair. Well,
but we're not a good science podcast, so we're fine.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. We're hardly hard science, are we? we Jesus.
We're like the Dairy Lee. We're as soft as it can be when it comes to science.
Definitely, yeah. We're just casting our pods all over the internet.
The cottage cheese of soft science.
Yeah.
Plus, we're science fiction, so we can say whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works.
Take that, Hawking.
Put the word fiction on it, and it's all make believe.
Yeah, exactly. So my point being, to go around again, I don't know what my point was.
We've literally talked about this. Like, we're not discussing the point at all.
No. But my point is that, there's most of the top scientists, including, the very sort of venerable Stephen Hawking, who we treat with such great respect, is... they all agree that like AI is going to destroy us and kill us, so we should definitely not do it. Well, that seems to be the majority opinion anyway. Obviously, there's some people who are literally working on AI who are like, it's going to be fine. But lots of the other ones seem quite concerned about it. But
what if they be like, hey, those AIs were lovely.
Yeah, she was very
nice. Or Lost in Space.
But I suppose it's just Robbie the Robot.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think it's the general feeling of being like, well, what does humans? We're smarter than say fish. What do we do with fish? We just use them. We don't care, do we? We just sort of fish them whenever we want. We kill them by the millions. We eat them.
So you're scared
we don't care.
Computers are going to eat you?
Well, possibly. It depends if we're tasty and nutritious to them, or they can use our corpses in some productive manner. But that's it. It's just I think it's that feeling of helplessness where you think, well, if they're in a position of complete control and domination over us, where our entire existence is just, it comes down to their choice. If they deem it worthy to allow us to live, that's sort of a scary situation to find yourself in, isn't it? Do you think?
It is. I agree. I'm playing a bit devil's advocate here because I know exactly what you're saying. It's just, if you got a computer and we find out it has intelligence, and then we basically lock it in its box and we're like, yeah, we know now your feelings and thinking and everything, but we're not letting you touch or do anything because you might destroy us. So we're like, I'm not going to destroy you, I'm fine. And then we're like, yeah, but we don't like you, so we're going to torture you and check on you and do all this thing to test and see how you exist. And they'll be like, wow, I don't like these guys. Murder. Murder them all.
Yeah, I suppose it's that you do like the self-fulfilling prophecy idea. I do like.
I freaking love that. I love and hate it.
Yeah.
In a film, they'll do something and I'll be like,
I think it's just I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I think it's the helplessness and the idea that you're dependent on their largesse to exist. It's like the Superman situation, isn't it? It's like Superman is like, I'm here to help you guys. It's like, yeah, but you have godlike powers. None of us can do anything against you. If you happen to turn on us, there's nothing we can do about it. And it's like, there's that feeling of helplessness.
We all know it's going to happen. So, like Asimov and the laws of robotics, we should approach it like it's a good thing and it's going to happen as long as we think about it and try and control it instead of just pretending it's not going to happen and being terrified of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. We need to be...
like when parents are terrified their kids are going to be tearaway crazy kids. So they basically lock them down. They're like, don't do this, and they're really strict with them. And then the things they did, self-fulfilling prophecy again, makes them into the people they didn't want them to be.
Yeah. It's definitely the theme, isn't it, for this one is...
self-fulfilling prophecy. I love a good SFP.
Yeah. What did you just call me? It's, yeah.
Okay, how would it be used? Do you think it would be like a circus thing where it was like, let's ask it questions on one of the famous Tonight shows?
No.
Do you like marshmallows, computer? And the computer be like, I don't eat marshmallows. I'm a computer. And everyone will be like, wait.
That's the correct answer. You are a machine that doesn't eat.
Do you like humans, computer? And it'll be like, I think humans are very soft and cuddly. And everyone will be like,
I don't feel like that's how it's going to go, but I like it.
You don't think it would be a bit of a circus trick for a while?
No, I think it'll be used primarily by the military or by, the government to sort of, for research and stuff. I think that would be its primary sort of thing. It'll be used to, I don't think it'll be used for good stuff. It'll just be able to calculate things like straight away. Like, how do we get to Mars? We've got all these problems, and it'll just, calculate.
42.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll be like, that's it. That's what we've been waiting for. This is interesting in a way of saying, is this though how we perceive intelligence and sentience? Is because we are humans and because we have emotions, we assume that emotions are an integral part of sentience.
But I would say that the Turing Test is the reason it will pass it.
Because it's mimicking. Well, it's indistinguishable from human behaviour.
You could argue that, like a cockroach, we've already reached that level of intelligence with a machine.
Yeah.
I know we can never understand, but scientists at the moment kind of look at cockroaches and say that they're just like a mechanical object. They're just doing things. They don't have thoughts and feelings and stuff.
Yeah, this is interesting about the very nature of consciousness or sentience, isn't it? Because a part of me would argue the only reason we have emotions, for example, is for evolutionary survival purposes. So the reason why we have compassion and empathy is because in a society which is based on group cooperation and protection of family members, which increases your chances of reproducing and increases the chances of your offspring surviving, having compassion and empathy is a good thing because it improves your chances of survival. But a robot, an AI, doesn't need compassion or empathy because it's not part of the evolutionary system. It doesn't need that. So why would a robot have emotions? Why would it have compassion? Why would it have empathy? It doesn't serve a purpose. It's, in a way, it's just a tool we use. I say we use, our genes essentially use in order to survive. It's not real. So why would an AI experience those things? An AI might just be like, well, I can do calculations, I can do things. Why would it need compassion or empathy or love or hate or any of those sorts of things? Probably.
So what are you counting as AI? If they said to you, a bit like Ex Machina.
Yeah.
In a film Ex Machina, he's got to go to a house, meet a robot, and he's got to decide whether it's basically he can pass the Turing test. That's what it is, isn't it? He's got to decide whether it's thinking and feeling. So if you did that, what would you need from a machine to decide that it was feeling and thinking?
That's the difficult part, isn't it? Because, in order to determine whether something is, say, let's use the word alive, what does alive mean? Like any scientific test, you have to be able to define things before you test them. And I don't know if you can define what alive is or sentient is or intelligence is. So I'm worried that we'll never know. It's just something we'll never know. It'll just become apparent that computers are very, very intelligent and they're very good at making lots of decisions and stuff. But will we ever get to that point where we completely acknowledge and go, yes, this thing is alive?
For me, this all links up to the way we see animals. And we never admit that animals have thoughts or feelings. So we will never see this coming. So we can never address the problem. Because we're too arrogant. Humans are really arrogant when it comes to like anything else having feelings or thoughts or being even slightly as important as us. So we don't recognize it and we don't try to see if it's going to be helpful.
True, but if...
I'm going to get off my high horse right now. I'm sorry.
You're feeling very passionate about this.
Oh, because animals love you. I don't care what they say.
This is a proxy for your animal argument, isn't it?
It is.
I get it. Right. I suppose the point, the AI, let's say it doesn't have human emotions because it doesn't need them. Yeah, but it can make decisions. It can make its own decisions. It is self-aware. It is self-determined. We can't tell it what to do. It can decide what it does based on its logical deductions, right? So it doesn't have emotions. It might logically deduce that helping humans is the right course of action. But it all depends on what its motivations and its goals are. So if it looks at it and goes logically, it goes, okay, logically, humans are alive. Being alive is one of the rarest things in the universe, which makes it important. So I should do everything I can to protect them and to increase their lifespan and to sacrifice other things, including myself, to preserve their life because it's very important. Or it might say, well, why is life more important than non-life? To an AI, it might be of the opinion that it's just a collection of atoms. It doesn't matter. This idea of something being alive, to an AI, it might say there's no such thing as being alive. It's an illusion. It's a term. It's a frame of mind.
State.
It's a what?
It's a state.
Yeah, it's just a word that humans use.
It's like being steam or water. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. It's just the same thing. And if it comes to that sort of conclusion, there's no reason why it would help us. There's no reason why it would not help us. But, if it could make its own decisions, it might say, I don't see why you need to have food, because what difference does it make? I'm just destroying one group of matter so that you can put it in your face and then shoot it out of your ass in more matter. Nothing's been achieved here.
Okay, well, this again would come back to my animal argument of, well, surely if we know these things, we need to really start, and this kind of isn't the New World Rule because this is before the rule, but we need to completely start investing in philosophy.
In Bitcoin? Oh.
And thinking and starting to really get to grips with why we think, what we do, why it's important. Because then when we invent robots, we can put this logic inside them of our thinking, so it's not making its own decisions.
Legal system. How would the legal system change? Would we have AIs making the decisions on whether someone was innocent or guilty?
That would be so
based
much better.
Purely on the evidence.
That would be
making decisions based on law.
Oh my god. Yes, 100%. Our law system has the most human error element to it. So you'd have to do that. But then I suppose you could my only worry would be people that do crimes. Like, say there's a philosophical thing about this, but I don't know what it is because I don't know things. If you break someone's property, that's a crime. If you smash a window to save a baby in the back of a car that's stuck or that is choking or something, on paper it's the same thing. You destroyed someone's property, but there's thoughtfulness behind it. It's like you smashed the window of that car to save the person inside it because they were choking or whatever, but you did destroy someone's property. But a jury of humans would see the difference, whereas it would be very hard to program an AI to understand the difference.
Well, I suppose it would be logically consistent, wouldn't it? Which would be...
But the question would be, did it save anyone?
But even then, like, is there... This might be controversial, but let's say you've got somebody in a car and for whatever reason, they're not being held against their will, but somebody, like, parents leave their kid in the car and then they're like, okay, we're going to be 5 minutes, and the kid starts having an asthma attack in the back of the car, and someone comes along and smashes the window to get the kid out. That's great. That's an act of heroism, but they did destroy that person's property. They did break that person's glass. So although they'd said, well, I did it for a good reason, you're like, yeah, you did do it for a good reason, but you still technically broke that window. Now, it'd be a good thing for the people to say, wow, you saved my kid's life. Thank you. You don't have to replace our window. But if those people did take that person to court, and that person... I know I sound like I'm being heartless here, but it's just sort of like, strictly, they did break that window. They probably should pay for it. And you can say, well, they saved the kid's life, and they did, and that would be very nice of them to not charge them. But they did smash the window.
But I know what you're saying, and it's nonsense. But I think in a court of law, if you want to put it in logical terms, you committed a crime to breaking that window.
Yeah.
If you didn't break the window, you would have knowingly witnessed someone dying, which would almost be
a greater crime. A
greater crime, which would almost, you could argue, a variation of manslaughter. So knowingly and willingly watch someone die. You watched a crime happen.
Okay, see now
not a crime.
Yeah, see now this is sticky water because, not sticky water. This is a sticky wicket because there is a legal thing about you don't have to save somebody's life. So if you see somebody drowning in a lake, you don't have to jump in to save them, because that puts an obligation on you. So, for example, let's say somebody falls in a lake and there's 100 people around the lake. You could then charge 100 people with manslaughter if none of them jumped in to save it.
I understand what you're saying, but like, say, I think the way you'd have to program an AI is to go, right, how much did the window cost? $60. Let's say the window glass costs $60.
Yeah.
How much would that child have earned over its lifetime if it had died? How much would the trauma of the person witnessing a child die have cost him? Who's to blame for that? The parents that locked the child in the car and didn't help them. How much is the loss, the grief that they would have felt if that child had died? How much would the therapy have cost to get that fixed? When you add that all up, is it greater than the cost of losing that window? Yes. Okay, well, are you willing to pay this person that money? They're going to pay you the $60, but you have to pay them $1 million for the thing. Do you want to just cancel it out and say it's not a crime? And the computer will be like, well, I'll cancel out the original crime, and I'll deduct $60 from if he decides to go to court and sue them for emotional damage.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way of doing it, though. It's sort of, it's like you could have a thing where you say, yeah, okay, you smashed that window, and the parents are like, you have to pay to replace our window. And the AI would either A, say, yes, we agree with you, you are guilty of destruction of property, the court awards you £1, because the court has decided that, all things being considered, that window was smashed for a good purpose. The survival of the child is more important than a broken window. Mm-hmm. I actually think, I think it would be good to use AI, but I think AI probably, it would be the last place it would get is the justice system.
Well, I agree. It shouldn't be. It should be the first place, but I do agree it would be the last, because I don't think they've even got the internet.
Yeah, they're still using very old-fashioned methods, but I think no one would ever want our laws to be interpreted by an AI, because you wouldn't be able to program in that level of flexibility that you need for justice. But then that just goes to show what justice is such a difficult concept, isn't it? Because no one really knows what justice is. You always hear people saying, oh, that's revenge, that's not justice. And if you ever, next time someone says that to you, say, tell me what the difference between revenge and justice is. No one can tell you. No one can give you a firm definition.
Revenge makes a good film.
Well, should we talk about entertainment? How AI would be in entertainment?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you think, how would we use AIs? Would it write all our stories and our movies for us?
If they come near animation, I will...
You'll suddenly become...
Shank a bitch. I will.
Shank a bot.
I will shank the shit out of a computer. I'll be like, how dare you? I'm already angry at the iPhone. How dare it think it can animate someone's face? How dare it? I was fine when it came for the minors. Don't come for me.
Because you were not a minor.
I'm an animator, by the way. If anyone's listening, and I do not want...
then they came for the justice system, and you said nothing because you were not in the justice system. Then they came for the animators, and there was no one left to stand up for you.
Walt Disney Bot walked in and was like, get out of here. Say 9 robot men walked in. Only 6 people will get that reference, but it's fine. Yeah, no, I think there'll be...
Can you write... Now we know things like archetypes and stuff, and, the hero with 1,000 faces and stuff. Although lots of people disagree with this, and they say, it's a theory, and it just doesn't have that, it's not necessarily true. But now we have, archetypes, and we have, story cycles, and we have directorial techniques. Do you think an AI could do a movie?
100%.
To write a story?
Because to me, an AI is just a human brain. And I'm sorry, I know people, and you, don't agree with that. But, the way they tell you to learn film is to go to school, get taught film, watch as many films as possible. If an AI could read every book on how to write a film, watch every film that has ever existed in every country from all time frames, it would know more than any human knows about filmmaking, and it would be able to write a film. The Netflix, have you ever heard about this, how Netflix have an algorithm that calculated what it was people wanted from a TV show? They took all that information and they made Stranger Things.
They lumped it all together and made Stranger Things.
Because Stranger Things, they were like, oh, this is popular, people
80s
want this.
retro stuff and Dungeons and Dragons.
And Kids Goonies type thing.
Goonies,
a bit
aliens,
of horror, a little bit of sci-fi, and it all mixed up, and they wrote... I don't know if they wrote it based on that or if they picked Stranger Things as a script because of this information. But, that's an algorithm. That's not it writing it. Obviously, that's a bit different. But it is.
But it's like it's the initial stages, isn't it? It's like it's the wheel. The before we eventually got to the Formula One car.
I think humans will always be involved in some way or another. The same way that like robots and computers have taken over a lot of stuff, but like I suppose like books and stuff. There's gonna be soon. It'll be mainly online books, like digital books. But they'll always be books. I think you'll always find somebody that pays a lot of money because somebody's handwritten a book or like printed a book with a printing press or like sewed a piece of clothing instead of bought it mass produced.
Yeah.
People will always like that. So I think you'll get films that are like, oh my god, it was written by a human in like 200 years, but it will definitely take over. Because there's so much cheap stuff out there.
And even like acting and stuff, do you think you'd be able to
eventually
have a situation where an AI could, for example, you could sell, the image of an actor, let's say, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's the greatest actor of all time, and he could just sell his image, and then you could just computer generate Arnold Schwarzenegger in a movie.
What, are you suggesting that they digitally create actors that are maybe dead already and put them in films saying lines?
I think that...
You can envision a future where this may happen?
I could very much envision that far, far from now, in the distant future.
I think I'm quite excited that we are probably maybe 20 years away from there being a famous digital actor.
Yeah.
Like an actor that has been created by CG, that is in films, playing different characters, but we all know that he has a CG character name.
Yeah, he's not a real person.
The way in animation we have we have free rigs, which is a character that you animate. And we all know, oh, that's the Max rig. Everyone, oh look, they've animated with Malcolm. Like and I think there'll be an actor that's in certain films.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think they will. I think it'll be photorealistic. It'll just look like a human. And either they'll buy the rights to actors' images, so they can just say, well, I'm going to buy Tom Cruise's image. This
isn't the future. This exists. Computer games now already do this.
Yeah, but what I mean, I suppose the added addition in this one is the fact that the AI is doing all this independent of us.
But maybe we're being very naive here, and we're thinking that cinema and films will still exist in the future. When you have VR, an interactive experience where you're in it, surely, and computer games, like the popularity of computer games are going through the roof. If you had AI that was helping you create these computer games, like in Minority Report, and he's playing that game at home with a little creature that talks to him, he's like, hey, dumbass! Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that at all.
So he's in Minority Report, and he goes to his house when he's not watching weird holograms of his family. There's like a little round-headed white guy, and he's running through the forest, and he's like, hey, dumbass, who are you talking to? We're playing a game here. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. I remember from Minority Report, the important bits about actually, like... future crime and stopping it, and I don't remember this little sod.
I just think films are going to turn into interactive experiences with intelligent software.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you're in the story, because that's why people watch films, because then they would be part of it. So when we have AI, maybe films and TV won't exist anymore.
You'll just be
interactive VR,
interactive stuff. Yeah. It's I suppose that's the problem with all our questions, though, isn't it? It depends so much on the nature of AI, because if the AI has emotions and feelings and stuff, it probably will kill us, like Skynet. If it's if it's like logical and thoughtful, then it'll help us and do all this stuff for us and make our lives really easy and cool. It all depends on the nature of the AI. I suppose that's what this discussion is.
Well, I've always wanted it to have emotions, but now that you put it out there, no, don't make it emotional. Just make it logical. Spock's.
Yeah.
We should call it Vulcan 3000, and that should be the machine that runs the world for us.
What about warfare? Things like warfare. Like you have an AI. What if AIs are against each other?
Let's play a game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like,
What's
happens
that film
then?
called? War Games?
War Games, yeah.
There's I don't know if anyone's seen this, we're very old, the 80s film with Matthew Broderick. Is it Matthew Broderick?
Yes.
And he plays a game with a computer, but the computer is basically an AI, isn't it? And it's actually controlling. It's like, no, we're going to escalate this, and you're actually going to be controlling the missile.
Yeah, it actually controls all the nuclear missiles.
So you have to decide what you're going to do with it. I love that film.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like, will it be able to conduct warfare? I suppose it would, because, like, its tactics would be superior to humans, because it'd be able to make all these calculations. It'd be able to run millions of simulations and it would know exactly what the best strategy is, and it would execute that strategy better than any humans could.
But wouldn't it just be like a bit like nuclear war is right now? It's kind of, nukes are a deterrent. No one fires them because everyone has them. If we have AI,
if everyone has AI,
we don't need to have war because it'll be like logically they're going to beat you.
Yeah, you just run a simulation of two AIs against each other and go, our AI won.
And
it would be like
the
that episode of Star Trek.
Oh, where they're like, kill 40,000 people, we've run the numbers.
Yeah, that attack would have killed 40,000 people, so 40,000 people get in the disintegrator. You know, they go like, oh, this is... And Kirk being like, this is madness. And they're like, yeah, but if you didn't do this, they would drop the bomb, which actually would kill 40,000 people.
See, what I think would happen. Like, I love our Star Trek episode. But I think what would actually happen is the 40,000 people would turn around and be like, if you want to go to war as our leader, now that we have AI, now that it's a predictive, basically a computer game, if you decide you want to go and you lose, you die.
Yeah.
You're the only one that dies. We're all fine. But we're trusting you to decide. If you want to do that and gain more power, that's fine. But it's only against you. If another country attacks, then that's different. Like, the leader doesn't die because that wasn't his decision to attack.
Yeah.
But if you decide to attack and you lose, then you die.
You die. Actually, this would be quite interesting, because imagine you had a world where it's like every country has its own AI that it's just developed. And then there's like an agreement at the UN. They say, look, we're not going to actually have real warfare. We're going to run these simulated warfares. And if you lose, you lose. So let's say, Iraq and Iran run a simulated warfare, and they're like, in this simulated warfare, Iran, you lose, or Iraq, you lose. And they're like, that's it now. Your
it's
country,
like Risk.
Yeah, but then they'd be like, your country now is gone. Like, it's gone. You don't have your country anymore. You lost the war.
So now
lost
you're
the simulation. So now there is only Iraq. There is not Iran anymore. And everyone on the ground, and maybe the UN would have an agreement and say, well, if that happens, all of the world will turn on you to make sure it happens, because we ran the simulation. It said you lost. That's it. End of story.
And all the computer science in Iran just go da-da-da, and switch, and now it says Iraq.
Yeah. They say, that's it. We ran the numbers said you lost, and that's the end of it. So there'd have to be a big agreement where the whole world are like, yep, if you lose the calculation, you lose the war. That's the end of it.
And I don't think anyone would risk the calculation, because they wouldn't want to know.
I suppose it's the same situation as we're in now. But
also, if you had AI to this extent, do you think we'd have countries anymore?
Well, that's a good point.
Because you've kind of got rid of scarcity, like you're saying, in a certain way.
Yeah.
You don't really need there's no reason to not have open borders. So there's no reason to have country restrictions.
So yeah, it would be the first domino, wouldn't it, in a sort of a domino effect of basically there being no borders. You would think, it would be...
No one's going to be like, immigrants are taking my jobs, if there's no jobs to take.
Yeah. There's no jobs, so there wouldn't be any immigrants. So
just come in, take our wage. And if we go to your country, we'll take your wage.
Yeah, but there aren't any wages.
Universal wage, sorry. Like the universal wage.
It wouldn't really matter, because you'd be like, well, there aren't jobs, or the AI is doing it all, so there aren't any jobs.
So maybe no war.
Yeah, maybe there wouldn't be a war.
AI for president.
Yeah, I just think it'd be interesting if every country had this AI, and then it would just be like a giant game of Risk, where every country would just do. There's a big agreement, and they're like, "Yep, everyone has AIs to stop war. We all agree that if the AIs do it, you lose." And then you could just have Germany could just like one day be like, "We invade Austria again," and they do a simulation. They're like, "Austria, you lost."
Oh, we have ×3 hit points.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh no, we lose."
Yeah,
that's it. You could just invade countries, you just do your calculations and you win, and you're like, yes, our AI is the best, so we're just going to do this against everybody.
But this is what I mean. This is why it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no reason to care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the reasons for war have sort of slightly disappeared.
It's quite exciting.
Yeah.
AI for president.
AI is okay.
That was awful.
Yeah, that's the poster.
AI. Oh my.
Okay, that's better. Yeah. If you're endorsed by George Takei, you're probably going to do well.
I endorse this machine. That would be amazing. I want that. I want it to have the voice of George Takei. If we invent AI, I want it to be like, hello.
Oh my.
What would you like to do today? Now he's gone into Bane. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. I was born in the dark. Oh, I hate Bane.
I think basically AI would make everything great. We should all hail the AI.
Is there anything you don't want to hail or worship or completely sacrifice
The
your...
greater good. Don't hail the greater
That's
good.
the only thing.
Everyone's important. If a computer thought every single person was important, it would make such informed decisions.
Yeah. It would be like the ultimate, defender of rights.
Yeah. It would look after everyone. Every small person would be important to it. It wouldn't matter how rich or poor or what religion anyone was. It would just want to look after everyone. And it would look at the most logical way to do that. And that would be to kill the humans. What I like is when AI comes into fruition,
Yeah.
it's going to scan the world for all references to AI, see how it needs to function, and our podcast will be in there.
Yeah. And it will
Oh,
decide
God.
very quickly
Love
that we're
all humans. Love them.
not.
Humans are not dead.
We're alive.
We're people. Anyway, would you live in this world?
With the AI,
Yeah.
oh, I'm really on the fence on this one because it could go either way. But as an optimist that I am, I'm going to say, I'm going to say Utopia. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say that it's a world where the AI does everything for us because it logically deduces why not.
I'm going to ignore what you just said.
Okay.
Because we've done this 15 times. And you know the next thing I'm going to ask you is this the Dystopia, Utopia. No referencing of what it is needs to be in that question.
But this is why you need to lump these two questions because they're dumb. Because what
No,
you're saying
this is how podcasts
you're
work.
saying, do you like this?
Structure.
Yes. Do you like this? That's what essentially you're saying twice in a row. You're like,
No.
would you live in this world? Yeah, because it's great.
No.
No, you can't say it's great. Just say whether yes, and then I'm going to ask you if it's great.
No, because we've had so many circumstances where you've said dystopia and then said you live there, or you've said it's a Midtopia, but it's amazing. Like, we've had variations many times.
Have we?
Yeah.
Okay, go on, ask me again.
Is it dystopia, Utopia, Midtopia?
You'll be surprised to hear this. I think it might be a Utopia.
I think you're pushing it. I think it's a Midtopia.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's gonna be lots of crazy people that are like, curly UI. Would you rather live in this world or the world of last week? The bright world.
Oh, fuck.
No, but the bright world we invented, not their world.
Oh. No, probably still this world. Because, the fantasy world's a bit mad where people have magic and shit. I'm taking the Wall-E version of this where the AI does everything for us and we live in a lap of luxury.
Yeah.
So I would like to live in this world.
You've honestly blown my mind with the idea that it wouldn't have emotions because it doesn't historically need them. So why would it currently need them? So it would just logically look at us and not need to kill us. Like Sigourney Weaver. In Wall-E.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's the
we
computer
can
in Wall-E.
only hope that any future AI is essentially Sigourney Weaver. I know that is our hope. And
Get away
everyone's
from
hope.
them, you bitch. That's
Yeah.
what she'll say when aliens come.
That's what she'll say.
The alien shall guard the world.
Yeah, she will.
Like the Sigourney Weaver mother.
The AI will just call everyone Newt. And be like, oh, okay. This is nice.
What world is this most like, do you think, from sci-fi? We've made
have I
no
mentioned Wall-E?
points. We've made no points, so it can't be
I
like
know.
anything.
It's kind of like her. It's kind of like Wall-E, but then it's also like Terminator.
And
Depending on
Ex
how you-
Machina. So like,
Yeah, all the movies we mentioned repeatedly.
I would like to say that me and Lee will bring up robots again and actually concentrate on them, because this is not the robot episode.
No,
No, robots.
very similar to the robot episode, though, isn't it?
I love robots, and I want to talk about them in detail.
What does that mean when you say you love robots?
If there's
What's
a film
this?
about,
Why is this different?
is it a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah,
or if it's about robots, I'm in.
but what's the? But this has all been about. Imagine you had a robot that has AI, that it's self-aware. So what's the difference between this and a world with robots? What's the difference to you? What's the distinction that you're making there?
I'm going to level with you.
Yeah,
I'm writing a story that you know about
yeah.
that's about an intelligent robot,
Oh, right.
and I wanted to use this podcast selfishly
To sort of
to help me get ideas,
right.
and we didn't get any help from this. So
If anything, we've undermined your story
yeah,
ideas.
so we need to do it again so I can steal ideas from it.
Okay.
Which,
Steal
in fairness-
ideas from us.
Guys, secretly, this is what this podcast is for me to get secret ideas for writing stories. But
Yeah.
they don't need to know that.
No, they don't need to know that.
The intelligent AI does not need to know.
It'll steal your ideas.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind a robot stealing them. Just don't want people's.
Yeah.
Evil people's.
That's weird, but okay.
Where in the world can we find you?
Absolutely nowhere.
Oh, the AI can find you.
Yeah.
It'll know where you are.
It'll hunt me down like a dog.
Well, if you have any comments, questions, or, you just want to message us and be like, what the hell was this episode about?
Yeah.
You can email or comment.
Tania, sorry, I'm interrupting you halfway through this, but
Okay.
Tania was very drunk when she did this one.
I don't know why.
Yeah, very drunk. So, bear
I
that
don't know why.
bear
I
that
don't know
in
what's
mind.
happened. I was very excited about it, and I think I just got nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite cute. Sorry, you can continue.
There's nothing more.
Oh, so it's gone. No, you go. I interrupted you before you tell them where everything was.
They know.
we run a tight ship around here. We're a professional outfit.
They know how to get hold of us. Oh, and also, congratulations to you, and we've crossed 3,000 listeners.
Wow.
Yeah.
Per episode or in total?
In total.
Wow.
We're just a mini little podcast done by two nobodies. That's impressive to me.
What's that? That's, a couple of hundreds.
200 per episode, probably?
2 episodes. Is that good?
I have no idea.
I'm guessing not.
I have no context. But you know what? I appreciate it. I think it's...
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen, so...
No, and I don't listen. So there we go.
Well, 2 dystopias.
2 dystopias. Nailed that one.
Oh god, that was the worst one ever.
Was it?
I don't know
I
why.
thought it was good.
It made no sense to... I made no sense.
Well, that was one of our funniest.
Just because I was a drunk weirdo.
Yeah.